Listen to what she's saying. Please do not miss this. Please do not miss it.
Because we can't randomize.
Let me rewind it a little bit.
But that's actually a very impractical, high-cost, unethical, and almost impossible way of doing things, because we can't randomize people into those diets for a very long-term study.
What's going on YouTube? TR Fit Fam, welcome back to the channel. If this is your first time, go ahead, click that subscribe button right there. You'll like it. If you don't, it is what it is. Just leave it there. Other than that, let's get right to it. Today, I want to go over two videos. Watch two videos. I want us to watch them together. It's going over the carnivore diet. One from the perspective of a doctor who hasn't tried it, and the perspective of a nutritionist who also hasn't tried it for themselves. Let's get right to it. I will try to hold my opinion, for the most part, to the end. Let's get it. First one, starting off with Dr. Z-Dog, MD. Didn't get his real name, but let's get it.
Hey guys, like Tom Heineber's asking me about the carnivore diet. And look, we've talked about like vegan and keto and all this stuff. And I gotta be honest, I have no clue what the carnivore diet is. Tom says it's like all you can eat is meat. And like Sean Baker and other people, Jordan Peterson, have all talked about this diet on Twitter. So I am gonna work out for you from first principles as a doctor the benefits and risks of a carnivore diet, okay? No, having done none of the research. You know why? Because the research is all bullshit. Because all nutritional research is garbage, okay, for reasons I've talked about. All right, so this is what I think. You're eating nothing but meat. Already you've put this diet into the category of what we call elimination diets. You've eliminated a lot of food and you're narrowly restricting what you eat to a certain class of macronutrients, which are meat. So what are you getting rid of? I imagine you're getting rid of refined carbohydrates, most carbohydrates for that matter, vegetables, you're getting rid of sugary drinks probably, you're getting rid of processed food, and you're eating nothing but meat, unless you're eating just pure processed meat, which sounds delicious. All right, so carnivore already has an advantage because you've cut out a lot of what the standard American diet is known to be bad for, which are processed, high sugar, high salt, garbage foods. Now you're left with high protein, high fat meat products. Now, from first principles, there's some very soft, it's very hard to imply what's actually causing versus just correlated with. So red meats, heme-containing meats have been correlated with higher risks of things like colon cancer. Now, nobody knows if that's actually causing higher rates of colon cancer or if there's some other confounding factors, which we've talked about before. So could it be that you might increase your risk of cancer? In an absolute sense, not that much, right? Now, the other downside is there's no fiber, so you're gonna be like, hella swole, bro. And I don't mean muscle-wise, I'm talking about your colon. And that can go with another risk, which is something called diverticulosis, which are little outpouchings of the colon from high pressure associated with potentially a low-fiber diet. Now, again, we don't know, but these are kind of associations. And I'm working this out as a doctor, having seen a lot of patients and kind of understanding basic physiology. So in that case, a carnivore diet, which is all the rage now among people who are like, bro, I don't know why I did that, but I pulled something very painful in my side, Tom Heineber. I'm not even joking, like I'm in spasm right now. So I'm gonna continue talking while I have this spasm. The elimination factor may actually help a lot of people to feel better if they maybe don't tolerate refined carbohydrates that well, or they have some other intolerances in terms of digestion, like beans and things like that with fiber that cause bloating and gas and uncomfort. So maybe they feel better. Combine that with a really powerful placebo effect that goes with food, because food is a religion for a lot of people. For vegans, for keto people, for carnivore diets, okay? It's a religion. In fact, for people who love the standard American diet, it's a religion. Don't take my Carl's Jr. Happy Star away. And yes, I know what the Happy Star is because my mom used to get it for me quite a bit when I was considerably fatter. Correlation, causation, you decide. Anyways, that's a real doctor figures out the carnivore diet from first principles, deal with it, share it, or don't. I'm gonna go eat some meat and then also some vegetables because I like vegetables. All right, guys, we out.
Let's kind of backtrack. Food being a religion, obviously we talked about that several times, how food has a hold on people that it should not have on you. We should be eating to consume, nourish our body, and then keep it moving. But now, with all the things that we can eat, the pizzas, like I said, I even have a cheat day with doing the carnivore diet. I still allow myself to have a cheat day because of the great foods that are simply out there. And like I said, it just is what it is. But now people they have a hold on them with that. That's neither here nor there. Let's focus on the things that he talked about. And he kind of downplayed even the things that they say that correlates with eating meat. Because we don't know, studies don't show specific details. They just blame meat. For example, what if colon cancer was caused by the combination of specific carbs and specific meat? It doesn't go that deep, is the point. And he kind of touched on that without saying it. That's why a doctor's perspective, a doctor typically sees a lot of patients that all have similar or different diets. So their perspective won't be, most of them, their perspective, at least if they haven't been bought already, their perspective won't be tarnished to the point that they're just trying to sell you on something. You're very open about it. I respect that opinion with someone who hasn't tried it and really doesn't get it for the most part, just understands that it's an elimination process, which we know for most people that have tried the carnivore diet, that elimination process has a lot of benefits, short term as well as long term. Now I want to move on to a nutritionist. And I'm so sorry. Let me see if I can pull it up. A nutritionist. I'm sorry, I don't got her name, but it's on ABC America. ABC Australia. This nutritionist speaking her opinion on what's so bad about an all-meat diet. Let's hear it. Let's dive in.
There are potential consequences in terms of eating too much meat. And if you're only eating meat, it's very likely you will be eating too much meat. So too much meat presents risks of things like too much saturated fat. Saturated fat increases our risk of the bad cholesterol going high in our blood, which increases our risk of heart disease and cardiovascular disease. And they're going to be very low in all of the other good things that come in our other foods. Our vitamin C, our fiber, our vitamin K, they're primarily from plant sources.
What are the possible negative consequences of lacking those things in your diet?
Vitamin C is really important for preventing things like scurvy. So the old illness that sailors used to get from not being able to eat any fresh fruit, where your gums start bleeding, old scars start opening up, you can't heal wounds properly. That's not a very pleasant way to live.
Sounds like a zombie film.
Yeah, it really eat all meat and get scurvy. Yeah, that does sound like a zombie film.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And fiber is really important for our gut health. So our gut bacteria actually make some of the nutrients that we use in our body, as well as providing a lot of important signaling molecules that do things like tell us that we're full, tell us that we're full, tell us that we're full.
When I eat, it's hard for me to stop. When I eat, it's hard for me to stop. When I eat, it's hard for me to stop. Even when I'm full, I could always have more. Every single bite to the last of it. Buttermilk biscuits!
Or do things like help us regulate our blood sugar and our appetite, desire for eating. Vitamin K is a little bit trickier in terms of what it does. It definitely is an essential nutrient, but it has a bit more, less obvious, I guess, consequences in terms of a deficiency. But what I would say is that when you're thinking about deficiencies and the things you're missing, not all these things manifest immediately. The body's really good at what we call homeostasis, and homeostasis is keeping things in the normal situation.
There's also a strain of argument from proponents of the carnivore diet, basically that nutrition science has kind of got it all wrong. There's like a big misunderstanding, and there's like an orthodoxy that that doesn't take account of new information that's emerging, and that they're kind of at the forefront of that. Now, obviously, that's a pretty big thing to debunk, but what do you say to that?
Well, I think every conspiracy theory starts with the idea that the experts have got it wrong and haven't done the research or have some vested interests. But really, I think that comes from a misunderstanding of what nutrition science is. So people think that there needs to be a randomized control trial, an intervention where we compare people on one diet to people on another diet to know what is a healthy diet to recommend for people. But that's actually a very impractical, high-cost, unethical, and almost impossible way of doing things. Because
listen to what she's saying. Please do not miss this. Please do not miss it.
Because we can't randomize.
Let me rewind it a little bit.
But that's actually a very impractical, high-cost, unethical, and almost impossible way of doing things, because we can't randomize people into those diets for a very long-term study. So we don't make decisions in nutrition off the back of single studies or segregating people into different groups. We make decisions based on the body of evidence, a large amount of evidence, a great number of studies. So we don't typically study people on the carnivore diet because that would be unethical, because we know from the body of evidence that we have already that putting people on a carnivore diet could do them harm. So it would be unethical for us to do that study.
It would be unethical to have people do the carnivore diet. I want you to really hear that. It'd be unethical to have people eat grass-fed food, grass-fed meat, and only eat grass-fed meat. But it's ethical to have people eat processed food that has no end date. It's ethical to have people eat a balanced diet, which majority of the stuff are processed food. So rather than being ethical, eliminating foods that are technically bad for you, it's what are we talking about here? And this is why I don't like nutritionists or personal trainers, because they end up getting a certification, think they know it all, and they don't understand that science changes consistently. Research is done all the time, and it's constantly being reviewed over and over and over again. That's why you can tell the difference when you have doctors going over things versus nutritionists going over things. The difference between people who, speaking of certifications for trainers, people who actually been through the trial and error of losing weight or gaining muscle, building muscle, helping other people through experience, versus people who just got a certification, barely look like anything themselves, and they give information that they read rather than information that they know from experience. Hence why it's so important to try the diet if you're going to have an opinion on it, or understand how research and science actually is flawed to an extent. She also mentioned you needed fiber to keep your gut regular, when we all know that carnivore diet has helped cure a lot of immune disorders, a lot of gut issues. Michaela Peterson is a perfect example of this. Just about all of the negative things that they say could happen if you try a carnivore diet has been debunked over and over and over again. There's so many people that are doing the research. There's so many doctors that are recommending carnivore diet. There's a lot of doctors that completely change their perspective on the carnivore diet. Why? Because they try it and they do it for themselves. And once they started doing it, they haven't gone back. Calling this unethical is very, very, very dangerous. And it should not be, those words should not be used when it comes down to something that can easily benefit people's lifestyle by simply changing their diets. Calling it unethical is ridiculous, just for the simple fact that it was the way we ate originally before we was introduced to all these processed foods. The way of living was perfectly fine before when they were doing it. But now that so many companies are profiting off of processed foods, now all of a sudden it's unethical to do testing on the way that we've been doing research forever. Fortunately, there's a lot of people that you can literally search and hear their testimonies on why they do carnivore. And you can also hear people that talk about why they don't do it, or why they changed, or why they added things back into their regimen. But to say it's unethical is ridiculous. Going to keep this short and sweet. Let me know in the comments y'all opinion, what you guys think. Like I said, for someone who's been doing carnivore for not that long, you guys have been very helpful for me. Hopefully you can help somebody else by leaving your stories, tell them what your experiences have been, and your opinion on this video. Outside of that, do the YouTube stuff. Like, share, subscribe. Put your post notifications on as well so you don't miss nothing. Other than that, see y'all next time.